here to win. Simple. That's who I am.
Welcome to the unofficial first episode of the Siena Basketball Show. Each week, I will be recapping the Siena Basketball Week in review, finding some highlights as well as some lowlights in the season, and what the Saints will have on tap for the next week. Let's get right in and talk about the men. The men had their exhibition round, which is why I'm calling this week 0, because the scores don't count. They welcomed in Division III Hobart, which were the Liberty League champions this year.
And it's a dawning of a new era for that guy. There's Jerry McNamara. First live look at him. Siena men's basketball head coach and 19th in history.
Let's get to our 5 key takeaways. This was the first exhibition game at Siena College since 2017, and the first time the Saints held an exhibition game in general since 2021. The 2021 edition was held at the MVP Arena. Jerry McNamara's unofficial debut was marked by 12 players scoring points, including Justice Schultz, who had the most points at 13, followed by Major Freeman. Gavin Doty was not suited up due to some NCAA regulations. He eventually would get cleared a week later, and he is expected to play for the home opener. The Saints had a rough start with Hobart and Siena trading the top spot at the very beginning. It was a very competitive first half, albeit low scoring, but eventually Siena exploded towards the end, including Chris Torres, who had his first 2 points as a walk-on.
Around the bend. Nice spin move. That's Chris Torres in the game for the first time and has his first bucket. The persistence to follow.
The Saints shot 3 for 22 and 3-pointers, with an unfortunate ghost from last season making a visit, since the Saints were very dead on the threes last year. Jerry McNamara said during the press conference he hopes it's an anomaly, as he hopes that the Saints can really take care of the threes when game time arrives. He was still very impressed with them, notably when Miles Wilmoth took the ball from Hobart and gave it over to Justice Schultz at 11:07.
To use it.
Those hands from Schultz setting everything up.
In our player spotlight segment, definitely Justice Schultz. He came off the bench as the first man since the starting lineups were announced, and he exploded. My take from Schultz, he is a stealer. You give that man the ball, and then boom, there he goes.
First year, but he gives a lot of ability to them.
Schultz for 2. Second half run. Schultz the finish. Oh, nice feed from Schultz and a finish from Will.
Out of him every time out. He's going to play as hard as he can for 40 minutes.
How about this quick move down the floor? Schultz with that control. How about Justice Schultz? Siena's rolling. It's an 11-point lead.
Also another spotlight, Michael Ojo. Look at how far he's come. Michael Ojo, who returned from last season, spent the summer getting stronger. Ojo was one of the consistent players from last season. He also started towards the end of the season. And this game, he also had a bit of a splash as well.
Justice Schultz, the lob. Ojo! Teamwork!
I'll still give him the benefit of the doubt because this is exhibition, so there's still a lot of things that have to get fixed up. And even on the media broadcast, there were a few hiccups.
Just, they weren't afraid. They took it to Siena. The rebounding was probably the most eye-opening thing. As we came in, I thought the free throw disparity would be a little different, but
that was partially my fault because I'm usually in charge of setting up the background behind the guys. But aside from that, it still looked great. The UHY Center was electric. There were tons of fans there, tons of familiar faces, tons of reasons to get excited. November usually is when the holidays begin, but I would argue November 4th is when Christmas morning starts, because that's when college basketball season begins, and I get to have my picks on ESPN to see which games to watch. On to the women now. The women welcomed AIC, American International College, over to the campus on November 1st for an exhibition game. Siena won by 32 points, and the team was unfortunately marred with some injuries. Valencia Fontanelle-Passon, Alden Yergi, and Allison O'Hanlon all will miss the season due to injuries that were not specified by the head coach. It was a shame for Valencia as well, who had unfortunately torn her ACL last season. So, who is going to take over for the Saints? Well, we have Esther Turry to figure that out. She had a team-high 16 points, 7 rebounds and 3 blocks. Anijah Jackson, returning as a graduate student, dropped 14. Anijah Brown with 12. And newcomer Anaya Hooker with 11 points. Another newcomer to watch out for is Zoe Richardson, who also had some three-pointers drained during a 12-0 run at the end of the third quarter. It was a promising start for Terry Prim, who was very ecstatic over the Saints' victory, and he had this to say during the press conference.
Well, nice game. It was great to get out and under the lights, see some different lineups, give an opportunity for everybody to contribute, which I think that was the case. It's all about growth, and you start at a place and you just want to gradually increase from there. And actually, I saw growth during the game. So I want that to be the signature of who we are. And if we can do that, then towards the end of the year, we'll be exactly where we need to be.
My take on Esther Turry is that this is going to be a breakout season for her, and I think she is going to solidify herself as a household name on the Siena women's basketball team.
Saints push the floor. Down to Turry on the block. Left-handed floater finds the bottom of the net.
Unfortunately, there wasn't a lot of videos available for me on the exhibition front, so you're just seeing some of the montages that Siena posted on their YouTube channel. Also want to welcome Joe Puccio as the new voice of the Siena women's games on 88.3 The Saint. Puccio, who is a Syracuse grad, also anchored the show on the live stream broadcast alongside Brian Rubino, the color commentator. Also want to give a shout out to two of my friends who are AIC alums, Sean Lockett and Riley Sullivan. Yes, the offensive line for the Firebirds went to AIC. He's also coaching there. And he recently made an announcement.
Bird Nation, we got some unfinished business.
Yeah, I know I'm talking about arena football on a Siena basketball video, but just figured I'd spoil it now. This guy has some unfinished business. And now I regret making a retirement video for him. Elsewhere in exhibition, Ryder welcomed Holy Family over to their campus. The Bronx won 84-79, and Quinnipiac on October 30th welcomed Albertus Magnus, and the Bobcats also took care of them. Meanwhile, exhibition on the women's side, Quinnipiac also hosted a game as well, 62-45 win over Southern Connecticut. And on October 30th, Niagara welcomed Roberts Wesleyan and beat them by 41 points. In our flash forward segment, Siena will be facing two Rhode Island teams in the coming week. First Brown, and then Bryant. Brown will be their home opener. The Bears beat the Saints last year at an away game over at Brown, 71-67. The Saints led most of that game until Keno Lilly Jr. and the Bears started away with a lead at the end of the game, and afterwards they were victorious. Lilly is back this year alongside other players including Aaron Cooley and Landon Lewis. The Saints will have to watch out for Lilly, and they've already got a plan to tackle him on the court. The Saints used Lilly as a motivational tool to practice well on November 1st when they welcomed in the news media to interview the players for the season opener. As far as Bryant players go, former MAAC players Cam Ferris and Devian Williams will be people to watch out for, as well as leading scorer from last season, Earl Timberlake of the Bulldogs, who is returning this year. Terry Prim and the women's hoop squad will be welcoming Army West Point on November 6th, followed by a cross-country trip over to Washington to take on the Huskies on November 10th. Among the players at West Point to watch out for, Trinity Hardy and Reese Erickson of the Black Knights will be making an impact. Despite being in a Power 5 conference, the Huskies, which left the Pac-12 this year, are ranked third to last in the Big Ten rankings. The Washington trip is going to be a gamble for sure, because they played Syracuse in exhibition and lost to Syracuse in exhibition. So their history with Power 5 is sparse, and I think in order to make this well worth the long trip, the Saints really have to give it their best shot in order to at least hope to beat Washington by anything. Well, that's a wrap, everyone. Remember to keep it locked and loaded on this channel for more weekly Siena basketball content produced for you. And also, if you want to watch the games, ESPN Plus has you covered alongside these radio stations. And plus, you can get some tickets as well going to the Siena Saints website. We leave you now with MLG Dude's Minute. If Siena wants to go to the dance, they've got 4 months to do it. They're coming off their losingest season in program history, and for them to decide whether or not to go to March Madness would take a lot of strong effort. Look out for Major Freeman and Justice Schultz. They are going to make the most noise on the paint. And as for the freshman class, I can see a lot of them picking up Rookie of the Week awards. They look great, they sound great, they feel great. The only question is who's going to be injured. Let's just hope that they can stay healthy and active and have a good season start. The women, well, I'm a little upset about the 3 being injured, but it sounds to me like they have a good recruitment as well as far as the freshman class goes. So I'll be keeping my eyes peeled to the screen as well. Terry Prim and Jerry McNamara, the Terry and Jerry show, as I'm calling it, sounds more like a Saturday morning cartoon than a college basketball extravaganza. Anyway, that's all I have.